Happiness. What comes to your mind when you hear the word happiness? Is it the warmth of connection, cherished moments with loved ones, laughter shared, and the comfort of belonging? Or perhaps is it peace within, feeling content, balanced, and at ease with those who you are and where you're going? Or is it joy of living, finding pleasure in the small things, embracing gratitude, and celebrating the journey as much as the destination? For me, happiness is a state where you feel content, fulfilled, and at peace with yourself and surroundings. And it's not about what happens around you, but how you view it from within. Happiness comes from living authentically, staying true to yourself, and finding meaning in everyday moments, whether through relationship at work or personal growth. It's a habit, a way of life that focuses on positivity and gratitude. By embracing what you have and cultivating joyful mindset, you attract more fulfillment into your life. So why should we strive for happiness? That's a question that we all always ask ourselves. How can we cultivate happiness? The answer lies in understanding that happiness is a habit you can build and nurture. Let's discover all of that today. Good evening, friends. Welcome to the episode 16 of Career Shifts podcast. I'm your host, Gopal, and I'm delighted to have you all join us with me today. If you have been here with us before, you know it very well. We love exploring the journeys of individuals who have made significant shifts in their careers. And if you're tuning in for the first time, you're in surely for a treat. Career Shifts is all about uncovering the stories, strategies, and insights that have helped people navigate profound transitions in their professional lives. Tonight, I'm excited to introduce someone who's not only an expert in creating happier and more harmonious workplaces, but also a leader in shaping and helping organizations and individuals become future ready. But as always, let's begin the show with a story. Today is a Teacher's Day, and it brings back a memory from almost 22 years ago when I was going to start my career. I was chatting with a dear friend, sharing my plans and aspirations. His mother, who used to be a teacher, was in the kitchen making wonderful South Indian coffee. As she brought the coffee onto the table, I casually asked her, "Teacher, what do you think?" Her response was simple but powerful. She said, "Well, Gopal, as long as you're happy." I was stunned. My inner voice immediately echoed, "Are you happy? What does that even mean?" I didn't have the answer. I was caught in a void, thinking that happiness was something that would come only when certain things fell into place, always waiting for the next, if only. But here's the truth: isn't something that you find, it's a state of being. It's not about chasing external things, rather, happiness itself attracts everything into life. Human beings are meant to be Satchitananda. Sat, body, Chit, soul, Ananda means happiness. We are naturally designed for happiness. Our guest today, Sriram, is a pioneer in this space. He is an award winning thought leader, a coach, author of Happiness Habits. Sriram has dedicated his career into transforming workplaces into spaces where happiness, peak performance, and human centric leadership go hand in hand. In today's episode, we will explore Sriram's career journey, his insights on what truly makes a workplace thrive, and how happiness can be a catalyst for success. Whether you're a leader aiming to enhance your team's well being or a professional looking to find more joy in work, this episode is going to be filled with actionable advice and inspiring stories. So without further ado, let's dive into the enlightening conversation with Sriram. Sriram, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Good, good, very good. Thank you for inviting me.
Wonderful. Before we begin the questions and answers, do you have anything to share with the audience listening in to us today?
Yeah, I think it's Teacher's Day, and I think life is your greatest teacher. And that is something, and you are getting lessons every damn day. Every day you're getting lessons, just that we don't recognize those lessons. If we were, so there are just, life is the reflection that we need to follow. And if you can decipher the lessons and take action on it, I think, that's the biggest, kind of journey that you can undertake.
Wonderful. Very well said. And couldn't agree anymore. Life is indeed the biggest teacher for all of us. So, with that, Sriram, a lot of people who would be tuning into this episode now, and even of all future listeners, do you want to quickly walk us through your career journey? Where did you start? What did you do? And how did this happiness at work happen?
Okay, great. All right. So I did my MBA in finance and marketing, and then worked in Mercedes-Benz for a few years in sales. And Infosys at that point was recruiting people from sales into recruitment, because they felt that,
Oh,
that would be a match in competency. So that's how I actually got into Infosys. And then I was there with them for almost between 9 to 10 years. So that was my first, kind of stint into HR. From recruitment, within a year, I moved into employee relations, and then into development center, business partnering, head of a couple of units, head of the Chennai setup, and so on. So when I finished, I had a whole range of experience over there. From Infosys, I moved to an MNC, which is DE Shaw, and I was there for about 7 years. And then we split DE Shaw into two firms, and then did a startup called RCCM. And I was with them for about 7 years. And at the end of it is when I, kind of got out to do my own stuff. So that's largely my, kind of career. And the way I would look at my whole stint is that, so there was Indian, there was MNC, GCC kind of a model, and then, there was a startup experience. So it was a good, experience. But I like to refer to the, formats of cricket. So I started, I was like a T20 player. Everything was fast. Wins, go
yeah.
for it, go, that kind of thing. And as I, kind of matured, it became more of a one day. Actually, Infosys never got a test. It was only, at best it would have gotten to one day, because there was just so
Yeah.
much firefighting, so much to do,
Action.
and so much
Yeah.
learning and growing thing. So then from there, I moved into the DE Shaw, which is more of a MNC, GCC, or GIC kind of models. And there it was more of a one day. So there was action, and towards the end it moved into a more of a steady state, which was, what I would call as a test match, kind of a model. And each of these had their own kind of thing. So the one day was more about maturity. It was about stability. It was, kind of learning to influence the environment, but not being very harsh, not being very overtly pushy. Because, I realized by the end of my Infosys experience that if I get too pushy, then even though I might be saying the right things, it doesn't necessarily work in my favor. So I had learned to slow down, and kind of thing. And then comes your test match, which is that at some point you have exhausted the big changes that you need to do. And then you get into a steady state, right? But that is also the state where you have to be patient, where you have to be resilient, where the true transformation actually happens in that state. Because then you're battling the big things. You're battling culture, you're
Yeah.
battling politics, you're battling things which are, not, as long as you're firefighting, you're happy, because there's not, you don't have time to think of other things. When it slows down, then you know that, okay, there are bigger things. And things. So then I moved into my startup, which is actually a combination of all three formats. Started with T20, moved to one day, and then towards the end, it became more of a, kind of thing. So it's more like on demand, where you're playing each format, based on thing. And I think that's what happens in your journey of, towards a thing. You're toggling formats, your things that you want in life are different. And eventually, you get into a more of an on demand, where you can pull what is required for that situation, and to be able to use it.
Wonderful. I like the cricketing analogy. And I think um, if you really look at the kind of workforce that we have today, the need is almost seems like we need to be playing T20.
Mm.
But the or rather, I should say, the want is to play T20, and the need is actually test as well in some cases. And there is always a challenge and a conflict in terms of where who plays what role. And we'll discuss all of that in a bit when we come to the future of
Same thing
work part
between
of the
urgent and
conversation.
important. You know, that's
Yeah,
always the dilemma. The urgent and important. You always focus on urgent, forgetting the important till it becomes urgent. Go ahead. So sorry, I interrupted you. Yeah.
true, true. Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I completely agree. You moved from a really senior, high-paying, high-profile role, being a CHRO in one of the organizations, to starting your own initiative. What triggered or what sparked that change? If you can share some thoughts on that.
Okay. See, I want to tell you story of my whole transition. This is about
Sure.
started about this whole plan of transition started about 10.5 years ago, where I
Wow.
was and by the time I'd reached this point where you could say that I was successful because all the the societal parameters of success were met. Okay, house, good car, good children, all the fancy stuff was already in place to a large extent.
Mm.
And it was, and but so success was there, but there was still a certain sense of emptiness. And there's a certain sense of, okay, is this what life is about? And just about around that time, my second daughter was born. She was about a month old, and I traveled to Chennai for a family event. And that day I woke up in the morning. It was around 7 in the morning. Woke up with a chest pain,
Mm.
and this was a very intense pain and something that I had not experienced before. So I thought, okay, let me just do a precautionary check. It shouldn't be anything. But I went to a nearby clinic, and the night shift staff were there. So they took me and said, okay, we'll get an ECG done. And they did the ECG. The ECG was abnormal.
Mm.
And now they said, okay, you might be having a heart attack, so you should get admitted. The only thing was that they were, I didn't necessarily trust what they were doing. So I called up my cardiologist in Hyderabad and he said, see, rush to Apollo or a good hospital and get some tests done. If there's protein in your blood, that means you're having a heart attack. Otherwise, it's something else. But, this is not the right place. You just get out and go there. So then, of
Sure.
course, immediately rushed to Apollo, and the next 3 hours were a battery of tests and a whole bunch of things going on. But in these 3 hours, there was this real thing. There was pain, and there was information which said that you could actually die.
Mm.
I'm calling up my wife and saying, hey, if something happens, then these are the insurance papers, and I'm making a list of all the things that I've not done, and I'm praying very fervently that I shouldn't die. It's not, and but from and at the end of those 3 hours, they came back and said it's a severe attack of gastritis. It was not a
Oh,
heart. And that day I stopped drinking because it was the alcohol that was triggering the gastritis. So, and then I'm not had the necessity to drink after that. But what happened in those things is that, I started this whole journey of searching for meaning, searching for answers, searching for happiness. And it took me about 7, 8 years of intense, work, reading, coaching, looking at courses, listening to various things. And at about 7, 8 to 8 years, I found something where I could see that, I have shifted. I have moved from who I was to somebody who's much better. And that is the journey of transformation which I wanted to offer to others as people who are similar to me, that saying that, hey, it's possible for you also to do this. Because I wouldn't claim that I was a special or anything. I was lazy. I had my own kind of set of ego issues and so on. So I was the typical corporate profile, nothing special at all, from a thing. So, and if I could go through this and find this, it is there is something over here. So I deciphered that formula, put it in my book. That's how happiness habits came. And then 2 years down the line, I decided that, okay, I need to do something more serious with what all the things that I've learned, and hence the whole transition happened. So that's the story of how this whole shift happened.
wonderful. And yeah, I mean it's tough. It's not an easy thing to go through at whatever stage in your life you are. I think, and given the times that we are living in, health often is ignored,
Yeah.
even after COVID. To be honest,
Yeah.
so people do not really take care of themselves, and to add to it, it also becomes extremely challenging when it comes to managing priorities, and yeah, it's we are all victims of our habits, as I would always keep saying. So, but you were able to make a transition out of it, which was kudos to your courage, and I would say, and thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your story with us. But I'm sure, Shriram, when you would look back the last few years, and you would ask yourself, how was it?
Hmm.
There would have been moments of, insecurity or uh, imposter syndrome, to be honest, at
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
So walk us through what emotions were you going through as you were making this journey? I mean, making this transition.
Yeah. See, I don't think I've fully gotten over it first. Okay. So that is the reality of
Sure.
it is that often that, doubt comes in saying, hey, did I do the right thing? Is it
Mm,
going to work out the way I'm hoping it will? Uh, and because it's intellectually very satisfying, but it is tough, because I have to do a whole bunch of things which I never had to do. So corporate in a way spoils you, right? They give you, too many things which and then suddenly you
yes.
come out and you have to try those things on your own. It's not a easy shift, from
Yeah.
setting up calendars, simple things, to selling, to kind of managing your time and doing your research, creating the content. So it was a tough decision for sure. uh, I think for me the long term was very clear, that inside, once that incident happened, I knew that this is it. This, I have to do this. I have to teach. I have to kind of be able to coach people. I have to teach about how to live a better life. That's my purpose. That became very obvious. So but then it was, the whole thing was the comfort versus that whole decision. And so in a way I kept pushing it till I had to kind of make that call at some point. And and so it was, even though I knew what I wanted, I didn't necessarily have that spectacularly clear plan. I had contacts, I know what I had to do. And even as we speak, I think some of my models are evolving. Some of them I'm iterating and doing stuff. But the thing I know is that this is the path. I have to do this in whatever kind of format that I'm thinking. These are the kinds of things that I want to do, and more than anything, because it just makes me come alive. That's the only thing. Because after a point in my corporate career, I realized that nothing was really stimulating me enough. There were fires, there were things where but I could fix it with half attention. I
Mm,
just needed half a day's presence to do a full day's job. That much of kind of thing happened, unless you're firefighting in some occasions where you have to fight the fire, but that doesn't necessarily kind of stimulate you.
true.
So I think that was my kind of way of looking at it. And it's been a tough journey as well, as a thing. And my thing is that the inner thing is very core, is very clear, that this is in whatever format, these are the kind of things that I want to do. you know I'm also associated with corporate, I'm also associated with HR, so I'm not wasting whatever I did. So it's all kind of coming together in its own way. But at the core of it, I'm teaching, talking about life, I'm talking about happiness, which are the I believe the higher elements of what we are all looking for. So yeah.
No, great. I mean, I think one thing I learn from what you're just saying is it's all an evolution. I mean, there is never an end state that we are, as I mean, we're working towards that, but at the end of the day, it's never something that we have figured it all. It's a journey that we are all part of. So great, thank you. I want to slightly transition to also partly what we discussed when we spoke a couple of weeks ago when we were discussing about this conversation. And
Hmm.
this is a specific reflection on the basis of how corporate careers are in times like these, or rather
Hmm.
today.
Hmm.
Um, there is tremendous amount of competition.
Hmm.
There is often a rating scale that we are all being fit into, part of the game, can't complain. There is also an element of working towards profitability, success.
Hmm.
So there is a lot of race towards this of,
Hmm.
do this, do this, do this, do this. And everyone kind of is in their own race in many ways. To be honest, a lot of people don't have the luxury of taking the pause that you took,
Yeah.
um, and reflect upon
Hmm.
what just happened with you.
Hmm.
And a lot of people don't even have the luxury of what you did when it comes to the decision that you took a couple of years ago of starting on your own.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy grind
Hmm.
that people are going through today. And this is nothing to say about, you know, it's glorious on this side of the world. The answer is not. It's not glorious on any side of the world. So as much as you keep asking this question, is this good or is that better?
Hmm.
It all purely depends on how we look at it, and
Hmm.
that's what I'm hearing you say that as well. But for a lot of people tuning in and listening into this now or in the future, I think one of the questions that I have is, this pace at which things are happening today. How is this going to affect the future of work? In terms of what would be the long-term consequences if we continue the way we are going through right now?
Hmm. Okay. So lots of things over
Yeah,
there. Let's just
yeah.
try and see how to think. I think first I would want to say is that from an organizational standpoint, there's lots of aspects of, they just need to pause and ask, why are we doing what we are doing? And the simple answer is like, just look at your performance conversations. What is the purpose of performance management? It is, is it to serve the purpose of compensation? Or is it to make those records in your system and document feedback? And that is what it's become. That performance management was supposed to inspire people to reach their best potential. And the
Yeah.
manager is the catalyst that ensures that. Now, if you go and do a survey of people who are walking out of performance conversation, ask them, hey, are you inspired to give your best? I will bet you that not more than 5% people will say that. So somewhere, I think in this whole, corporate process and policy and all of that, we've lost the element of what are we trying to achieve? We have a bunch of humans, and if the humans are inspired, they are going to anyway meet all the needs that you have. And
Mm.
somewhere, but inspiration takes effort, it takes
Yes.
investment, it takes, genuine care. And somewhere we have automated, brought in technology and process and policy as the antidote to attention, to paying, people their due from a, from a human perspective. So I think one is that aspect, that there is this element of corporates who are now following the norm and
Mm.
not necessarily, being able to inspire people. And that is a fact that any survey you go, the amount of disengaged people that you can see is just alarming. Not more than
Mm.
25% of the people in any organization anywhere in the world are actively engaged. What does that tell you? Something is missing, and we're not doing much about it, because if you can just that middle, I'm not even talking about the bottom, leave the bottom probably should be somewhere else, they're in the wrong place. Okay, but the middle is about 50% of your people are doing just enough. How can you get them to go all in? How can you get them to do a little more than what they're doing? Only through inspiration. And today, I think that's the big piece that's, kind of missing in organizations. And unless organizations take this seriously, because it's a soft element, we are now so caught up in this whole narrative, of process, policy, technology, systems, that we forgot that. And the data is
Human
there
element.
in your face, and it's saying if you
Mm.
increase engagement, profitability will increase, productivity will increase, loyalty will increase, everything will increase. But you still seem to want to do whatever you did and hope that this will change. And it's not changing. Even after COVID, it's not changing. That's what happened in Great Resignation. Suddenly, people are all quitting. And then you're wondering, why are they quitting?
Why? Yeah.
You couldn't, because what you were doing is you were retaining people through your benefits and your compensation. And when somebody was offering more, people didn't think twice. They just said, from this computer, I'm moving to that computer. Okay, what's the big deal? I might as well take that 50% hike, 100% hike, because there was no emotional attachment that you were able to create until we realized that that is a key. A lot of these,
Mm.
why do we keep talking about the Tatas? Every now and then something will pop up, and then you will say, "Oh wow!" Right? Why is it? Because they found that formula that it was. They were not the best paymasters. They're not today. They were not that day, but they found that emotional hook where they said, "I will take care of you."
Mm.
Let me pause there, and then we'll kind of reflect and go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about pausing and reflecting on how they should be acting. But I think the question remains, and rather a reflection remains, that it's not happening,
Yeah.
and we continue to do the same old things. And the question that I asked you was like, is this sustainable? And what do you see this as? I mean, how do you see this affecting the future of work?
Yeah.
What are the
Yeah.
repercussions? Yeah.
See, the pace of change is going to continue. I don't think anybody can say that, because if you are too slow, you're going to be out of business. And
Hmm.
the purpose of being in business is to do well.
Hmm.
There's no taking away from that. At no point, because if you take it away, then they will not exist. And that is not a service that you're doing to humanity, because then you just
Correct.
have to lay off people as a thing. So the purpose of, kind of investing in humans is not for you to be nice. It is for you
Hmm.
to thrive and flourish.
True.
And I think somewhere, and there is also a cultural difference that I see, that a lot of what we do in the corporate part of India has come from the West, because they've been ahead of the
Correct.
curve. And they are a very individualistic driven society. But if you look at even their team structures, right? Very, very few people manage large teams. They'll have a 3, 4 member team at best. Most people are independent. There is very little concept of actually managerial input that goes in, because their way of growing up, their work, way of living, the way of working is very individualistic, and they do that well. Very professional about it. If you come to India or the Asian setups, we are a very relationship society. So we
True.
work on emotion, the slightest thing, which is where I see a lot of leaders from the West struggling to deal with Indian audience, is because the slightest shift in tone is picked up and taken offense to.
Hmm.
Whereas they are just trying to be direct. They're trying to tell you what is as they think it is, but then it lands as something which is offensive. Then
Hmm.
this goes on, this whole tug of war of saying, oh, they didn't treat me well, and then I sulk and I switch off, and then the switch off then irritates them more, and they try to give more feedback, and it never kind of gets done. So the pace of change is always going to be there. We can't now delude ourselves into thinking, oh, it will not. It will change. Technology will come, AI will come, and all of that is not going to be something that anybody can stop. Okay. And but my take on that is that even as these things change, in fact, one of the things that I anticipate is with AI, your equation of an employee employer will shift. Why? Because as much as AI can do the low end jobs, it will also, what it will also do is it will bring up the opportunities that exist in the jobs, across the world to some individual today much more easily than what it is today. So a person is going to have more choice. So what will they do when they have more choice? And obviously, the choice is probably going to come with an uptick in compensation. What will they do? Why will they stay with you? So as much as you think change will come and jobs, your lower end stuff will get done, all of that is going to happen. But the fact is, it will also shift the dynamic of employment, where the employee is going to have more options, and then they will have to choose whether they, and even if it's gig for that matter, I have a choice of working with you or not. I have a choice of
Hmm.
staying or not. And why will I do that? Only if I feel that you treat me well, if there is an emotional, bonding that I have, because I have choice. I don't have to work with you. I will get the same money somewhere else. So where should I put the money? And humans want to be treated well. That is never going to go away. You can bring in all the technology that you want, but the basic needs of human are still going to be there, just that it keeps evolving from security to psychology to kind of enlightenment, but it is always going to remain.
Very well said. And we'll get to a bit of how do you work with organizations solve for this in a bit. But before that, and this is a reflection again,
Hmm.
often when we talk to people,
Mm,
individuals,
mm,
organization gets treated as a separate entity, like
yes.
something that exists but doesn't exist.
Mm,
Because I feel organization is all about all of these people
yeah.
coming together and making it an organization. So expecting an organization to change
Mm,
also means that all of people within the organization have to embrace a change as well, which often doesn't seem to be resonating with people when you typically have that conversation with them.
yeah.
So it requires new set of behaviors, it requires new set of thoughts, actions, values, culture shift, etc., and which all happens through actions again, right? In your view, what should individuals do to focus on towards better well-being, better happiness, better culture of the organization? No, I'm just shifting the whole narrative to
Yeah.
what should
Let
we do?
me, yeah, let me answer this in 2 points. And if I don't cover the individual
Sure.
point, just remind me so that I'll
Yeah,
come back.
sure, sure. Yeah,
Because we need to understand the larger, part of the story, which is that organizations need to operate from what I call as a harmony zone.
yeah.
Okay, when you're in that, what this harmony zone is something like this. There's something called the bliss point, which people in the food industry use. You know what this bliss point is? They take a food item and they keep iterating it till they reach
Mm.
that point where the taste is good and the craving is also high. And in fact, that is why they put sugar in chips. Why do you eat sugar
Ah,
in chips? Because this bliss point has to be balanced. And if you get to the bliss point, what happens? You can't stop with one. That's it. They want to increase sales. They don't care about your health. So they're always trying to create this bliss
no one
point.
can eat just one.
Yeah. And that is actually a very, very, kind of researched, element. So now if organizations want to get into something like a bliss point where both parties are reasonably happy, that's called as a harmony zone. You know, in that harmony zone, there are two movements which happen. The movement one is from the individuals. Individual is your individual contributor, the manager, the team, the leader, all individuals, all who are all trying to, kind of become happier, become more productive and move here. And the organization is also trying to move into that zone. When both parties, both movements come together, it's a perfect win. Now, to make
Correct.
this movement happen, what do individuals want? They want good work, they want, challenging work, they want learning, they want growth. Then they want compensation, benefits, policies. And lastly, most importantly, they want to be treated well. They
Mm.
want appreciation, they want, to feel good, they want respect, they want connections. So these are the three elements that people are, as individuals of the firm are trying to get to. Now the organization has to satisfy these needs. At the same time, the
Mm.
organization has its own needs. What are its needs? That through work it wants to be productive, it wants to be profitable, it wants to get ROI, which is that I want you to stay back with me, I want to reduce my costs. And the organization also wants to be treated well, and through you create a good culture which benefits both, right? So this is the movement. So both entities are really have to move, and this is dynamic because you'll bring in new people. They again have to embrace the movement. Your situation business wise will change, and then again you have to. So it is never a point where you will remain in this harmony zone forever, but always this movement is happening and they are constantly trying to balance this movement. Okay. Now, in this, what the individual needs to do is first is to take ownership for the fact
Mm.
that in by doing their best is when they get the best returns. And by doing their best, it is not just work, it is also
Mm.
about their behaviors, it's also about their habits, it's about their mindset. And only when they evolve all three can they do their best. Because sometimes you think that the best is, okay, I'm performing, I'm meeting my targets. But in your meeting of your targets, you put down people, you trash talk others, all of that, right? Eventually, all of those things catch up because then nobody wants to support you. And when you want to become a leader, then suddenly manage those people whom you trash talk. You think they're going to be happy and say, "Oh, great, you become a leader." No, they're not going to be on your side, right? But we don't realize all of that when we are in that pursuit of trying to think. So, holistic, journey is always about that you fix your mindset, you fix your behaviors, you fix your habits, and you through that you become a better version of yourself. Through that you own whatever the company wants, you contribute, and when you do that, then the returns also come back to you. This is the journey. Now, to do that, individuals actually have to be interested in learning,
Mm.
because one of the things that I realize is everybody has this cup, which the cup is full, and what it's full with? It's full with something called I know. Moment the cup is full with I know, then there is what else can go in. It's already full. Anything that has to come in will just flow over it, right? So you have to empty
Mm.
that cup of knowing and be a little bit open. Then new things can come in. And when new things come in, you act on those. That is when you want to evolve. And most times, as individuals, sometimes we're only focused on the money. We want the promotion,
Mm.
we want the money. As long as I get that, that's the end of story. But think a little longer. Think a little longer that you have teammates, you have managers, you have other people, and how are you making this progress? Because if you don't make it the right way, all of those things eventually come and catch up, and then you realize, oh, I became a manager, but nobody likes me. Yeah,
Mm.
if your behaviors are like that, but what happens is that you don't realize it's important, and sometimes even the managers, in their pursuit of getting more performance out of you, kind of, they know it is not
Push
good,
you.
but they don't tell you because
Yeah.
they're scared that, oh, what if this person goes? So your bad behavior goes on till at some point it's not okay. And that point you're wondering, okay, same people who brought me up are now suddenly saying that something is really wrong with me. How did that happen? It didn't happen overnight. It happened as you. So that is where I teach people about mindset, about behaviors, about habits, and if people, which is where the investment is, because most people want, their whole thing is that you know the company has to change, let the culture change, let the manager change, let the leader change, the policies change, then I will change. It's not like that. Both have to change. The other issue why the company has to move is that, okay, I'm invested in changing, I work on myself, I come here, but then I have a toxic environment. Then there is a problem, because somebody who's actually trying to change will not be able to sustain the change if the organization is really toxic, because any attempt will always get shot down, and after a point of time people just give up.
Mm. Yeah. So I was talking to someone very recently, and I think there was this analysis that was made, and when you take a look at Google,
Hmm.
one of the most important word or two words that gets searched the most is how to, and it could be anything after that.
Hmm.
So I'm going to ask that question to you:
Hmm.
how to
Yeah.
be changing, or how to change yourself? Because at the end of the day, we could speak hours about what needs to be done,
Fantastic. Yeah.
but if you don't have the perspective on how to go about that,
Yeah.
I think it would never hit the you know uh, purpose. So if you could just walk the audience through how to go about changing themselves, making more happier, and yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to say three things, and these are very important. First is, in a way, figure out what you want to do.
Hmm.
Okay. And that's not an easy answer. You're, being in a job and doing whatever you're doing to earn money need not be what you are meant to do. Okay. And I'm
Hmm.
not saying quit your job, but, figure out a
Hmm.
way to do what makes you come alive.
Hmm.
That is absolutely critical. So
Hmm.
unless you are getting enough of that in your job, okay,
Hmm.
you have to either do that along the side or move into it. Till that point of time, you never truly come alive, because then you are constantly caught in this emptiness that similar to what I was as a. You may be earning good money, maybe doing all the frills, you may be buying the cars, all of that. All that I'm telling you right now, after you have bought all of that, it will not last for more than a month. That's it. Okay, at best a
Probably not
month.
even a day.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know and this question I ask in my audience is, hey, how long did, after you got promoted, how long did how long were you happy? And answers
Hmm.
range from 1 day, 1 week, 1 month at best, because till the parties are over, I put it on LinkedIn. Some
Hmm.
people are all saying, all 1 month. But how long did you work for it? I worked for it for 3 years.
Hmm.
And then I'm happy for 1 month. And if I'm not promoted, I'm unhappy till I get promoted. So unhappiness lasts for much, much.
Longer.
Happiness doesn't. And that is how,
Yeah.
kind of things. So first is find what really you're meant to do, your strengths, your, what is it that makes you come alive. It can be a hobby. You can pursue it along the side. You can do it full time. Start somewhere where you're engaging the core of who you are into something which is thing, and then try and see if you can use that for the benefit of others.
Mm.
That's the contribution element. That's the core. First, purpose, contribution. If you can do that, that's a fantastic thing. Second is always attempt to raise your humanity, become a better human. That's what we are here for. Corporate doesn't. It's a part of the journey of you becoming a better human, and it's a big part of your journey. So if you cannot be a good human in the corporate, how will you be a good human outside of it? No, you have all the opportunity to be a good human in your corporate world. Use it use it every day to kind of thing, and how to do it is something that I'll cover in the next thing. So that's second. So purpose, better human. Third is through self-awareness, fix your gaps. Through
Mm.
self-awareness, know what is lacking in you. Where is your ego playing up? Where are your beliefs holding you down? What unconscious stuff do you have? Constantly look for those gaps. The world, your team members, your manager, everybody is telling you this, every day in different ways, including your
Yeah.
spouse. Okay, so
Yeah.
everybody is telling you. You just choose to ignore it, or kind of get caught in your own noise, and you don't notice it. The moment you notice these things, your awareness will go up. Once awareness goes up, then it tells you the gaps. To fix the gaps is where the habits come. And those are a bunch of things that you want to do. Few things that I would highly recommend. One is start with gratitude. Gratitude is extremely powerful. We take it for granted. We are all, even the people who are listening probably are all in the 70 plus percentile of the world. There's so much of
True.
things which are not available for the rest of the world. And so, but what are you thinking of that thing that your manager said, of that slide that somebody did, or of that recognition that you didn't get? These are all small things in the larger context of things. You have so much to be grateful for. Now, the reason that it's important is when you are grateful, your brain has a single channel. It operates, and that channel determines your moods. If you are grateful, what happens is your blame, your judgment, your complaining, all of that stops. And then you embrace this whole thing of gratitude. Your mood shifts, and your response to life is now with this mood.
Yeah.
That is how your gratitude influences the way. Because people think, okay, what is this whole thing? You will say something, I'm grateful for. No, you have to feel it. Not saying. Not about saying. It's not about remembering. It's about feeling. Truly acknowledging that actually all of us have so many things to be grateful. That's the first element of kind of thing. Second is that we need to get to become more mindful. We are caught
Mm.
in a trap. This whole social media, everybody has trapped knowing how humans operate. They have created algorithms to trap your attention, because through your attention, you are paying them. That is how they make money. Now, you don't realize it. The scrolls that you do, the amount of time. And everybody, from kids to adults, are averaging anywhere between 4 to 6 hours of screen time, out of which you give some discount saying, okay, 2 hours productive work. 2 to 3 hours is just going on things that you don't need, and you're putting in stuff which you absolutely don't need, and that's doing damage to the way that you're going to kind of thing. So you have to understand, even Netflix and all that, right? This whole button of saying, okay, in the next 5 seconds your next episode will start. You think they're doing you a favor, that one button that you have to press, you don't have to press? No, they're getting you addicted. They're getting you addicted to their content so that they make money out of you. Now I saw a new feature also. When the last episode comes, one episode left, so that
Mm.
by chance also you will not skip it, because only one episode left. Now you shouldn't stop, right? You should finish it. They're constantly iterating to get your attention. And Facebook, Instagram, your Netflix, all of them have used very deep psychology to their
Yeah.
benefit. We have
Yeah.
to now, through mindfulness, be able to get out of that trap.
Can you hear you?
Gopal, are you there?
I'm there. I'm there. Can you hear me? Hello. Hello. Okay. While we
Are you,
wait for, are you there,
are you
Sriram?
yeah, I'm here now.
Okay. Yes. Perfect.
So we were
Great.
on
Great. Yeah.
mindfulness. Yeah, we were on
Yes.
mindfulness. And we have to reclaim our attention. And the way to do it, how, is actually, and I want to talk about the how of gratitude also. Okay. On mindfulness, the how is to really first is to slow down,
Hmm.
and I teach people a simple thing saying that just take 5 deep
Hmm.
belly breaths whenever you remember and mark it out into some incidents. Like if you're going to your workplace and you're going up a lift, that is a trigger for you to take deep breaths. You're
Hmm.
walking into your office space, that is a trigger for you to take deep breaths. You're walking into a meeting room, that's a trigger. You're leaving office, that's a trigger. You're getting out of your car to come back home, that's a trigger. And you can do the same thing, at home also. You're entering. So just 5 deep breaths, maybe even 5 times a day, that actually is a good starting point for us to be able to reclaim their attention. Because what you do is that you reduce the information overload. And the fact today is one of the things that is a shocking fact is that today the information that we consume in a day is equivalent to what somebody consumed in their entire life just 200 years ago.
Wow.
And our brains have not
Hmm.
evolved for this kind of transition, right?
Hmm.
So we have not evolved. It takes a long time for our, kind of brains to evolve. So that is the problem. We are dealing with absolute overload for which we have not been built. And unless
Hmm.
we consciously reclaim that attention, the way to do it is to pause, to slow down your eating, slow down your experience, have your, experience the water running down your body. It is a spiritual process. We are now like, rushing and then thinking of the 100 things we have to do, and we don't know, what. And I tell them simple things that just instead of using your dominant hand, use the other hand.
Yeah.
Use, if you're having a shower to your to do your soap, instead of your dominant hand, just shift your hand. Immediately your attention will come back because you cannot do it automatically, right?
Correct.
So there are simple ways. Slow down experience, slow down your eating. Food, it's a big thing. There are people munching down their thing as if, where you eat so quickly, all the money that you are earning today is all going to go to the doctor, but it'll go later.
Do that.
Okay, you're just delaying the payback. And that is what we are here to experience life fully. We are not here to run and make money and then think that we will experience. Where is the guarantee you'll be alive to
Hmm.
experience your holidays, after you have retired or after you've hit? you, there's no guarantee. And even if you go on a holiday, you're on your phone, you're still thinking, you're not, completely switched on to what you're doing. That is not good. It's just not good. It's not thing. We have to slow down. That's the thing. And on the gratitude also, simple gratitude is that, just start with 5 things that you're grateful for. But the trick is to feel it. It
Hmm.
is not something that you just say. Often people think
Hmm.
it is just saying, it is just writing. No, it is feeling. When you
Hmm.
feel, then you shift that, the zone in your head. When you feel, it shifts and then it stays. Till, of course, some trigger in life comes and overtakes that feeling. Till that point, at least, and I think because over time, what will happen is that you will see gratitude in the small things. The small things that people do, the small things, the guy who gave you way on traffic, okay, the small security guard who saluted you and you never noticed for so many years, okay, the small thing that your people are doing at your home, that service that they are kind of thing, we ignore and ignore and ignore. The more and more these things you get you notice, and that shift, you're going on shifting, you're bringing it back into a better mood.
Yeah.
So I can go on.
Well, I
There are a
just,
lot more things
yeah,
that
yeah,
are
I
there.
know, I know.
I just want to give you some samples. Yeah.
No, I know. And I know is what I hope people don't say as they listen to this, because at the end of the day, all what you're saying is very, I mean, something that we would have probably heard a millions of times, but just that as you beautifully brought in pause, slow down, and experience it, and I think that's something that is becoming a luxury for a lot of people, unfortunately, whereas it has to be a necessity, isn't it? So yeah, the last question that I have for you, Sriram, is as we go through this change, a lot of professions will also evolve. And somewhere during the conversation, we spoke about AI. And AI is going to enable a lot of jobs for sure.
Yeah,
And it also could potentially make look the current jobs very different.
yeah.
And it is going to probably make a lot of people unhappy, uh,
Mhm.
be it organizations or be it people. Do you have any thoughts on how could people transition into this mindfully?
Mhm.
Anything on that has come up
Yeah.
during your
See,
conversations? Yeah.
one critical aspect is that we have to embrace the change. Resisting the change is not going to take you anywhere. What is
Hmm.
going to happen is going to happen. Okay. And we can crib about the fact that it will take away something, it will do this, because everything that it takes away is benefiting somebody else also.
Correct.
Right. All right. So, so from whose perspective are you thinking?
Hmm.
If you're thinking from your perspective, then why don't you see it as an opportunity to upgrade?
Hmm.
Why are you playing so low in the thing that a machine can take what you're doing? You're not meant to be that. You're not meant
You're
to be
supposed to
that.
be more evolved. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to look at this as an opportunity. The moment you see the opportunity that is there for you to upgrade, maybe that is the push that you need to go and do what you're meant to do.
Hmm.
Because you're getting easy money. And see, in the earlier times, in the 90s and all, right, they would take any engineer and put them in computers. All they would do is 3 months of training, you become mechanical engineer, civil engineer, doesn't matter. You have engineer, okay, come. Trespassers will be recruited. That used to be the joke, right? Huh? So
Yeah.
that is the whole game, right? That, if that can happen, the fact is that you have to, you know, work on yourself. If you
True.
are confident about your abilities, your ability to value add, and you can see the opportunity, you can see, there is not going to be dearth of jobs. We are
Hmm.
so many billions of people. We will find things to do. That is not going to be the thing. What is going to be done is the machines will do the lower end things, which are simple and easy and cannot be a thing. But what about creativity? What about innovation? What about ideas? What about human connections? Okay, those are not things that thing. So we get caught in this high tech and always forget the high touch, right? And
Hmm.
as humans, we are here to evolve as humans, not as machines. Machines are supposed to make life comfortable. Understand the difference. Machines supposed to make life comfortable, and that is why machines will exist, and they are making your life comfortable. But in that comfort, if you forget, and this is a little bit of a thing also, right? Because sometimes I see this in kids also, that when everything gets taken care of, they don't know what to do with their life, and that is why
Hmm.
depression is increasing, because they don't. Okay, because especially with with good parents, where parents are doing well, there is nothing. If I study well, okay. If I don't study well, also I'll get a good college.
Hmm.
Okay. So there is nothing that will, so it's like, so where is my individuality? What is my role? Okay, everything will be taken care of. And that is why people don't know. Whereas we didn't
Hmm.
have that luxury when we were growing up, right? There was so much of catching up to do that, we didn't have time to think of depression and all that. You just have to run. You have to run, you have to go, because we were in the lower level of the Maslow's hierarchy. Now that level is crossed. People are going up that ladder. So
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. So everything will come. AI in its own small form was automation at some point, and before that
Yeah.
it was something else. So it has existed, it is just evolving, it will continue to evolve. But humans are going to have to just play to their strengths and also spread out, because one thing that we're caught up is we think only corporate. This is the thing, that this is a phenomenon of the last 50 years. Before
True.
that, also jobs were there. Before that, also people existed. This is a phenomenon, and so that will evolve. The way we
Yeah.
do stuff may evolve, but you will not have lack of things to do. That is never going to, kind of happen. As long as we live, we will kind of think. The only thing we need to understand is we have to preserve the planet. Okay, if you destroy the
Hmm.
planet, then nobody can live. And the way we are going, we may end up doing that. That is a problem. But so long as we are able to manage the planet, we will always find things to do. Just that those things have to be things that you are uniquely positioned to do. Work on that, you know, and as long as you invest in that, there will be things that you will do, and that is what you need to worry about. Don't get caught in the rhetoric of what will happen to others. Worry about yourself. You become valuable. You add value. You add value. You get value. Simple equation.
Talking of planets, I think we have done enough and more damage to the planet itself in many ways, and the weather conditions as it looks right now is a testimony in itself. Probably that itself is a great job creator if people are listening in, because you need to now spend your entire time to figure out what needs to happen and what should be done to be able to reverse whatever challenges that we have created for ourselves. So, for sure, jobs will remain. It's only that you need to change your mindset to figure out what you need to be busy with. So, I would now quickly move into a rapid fire section.
Okay.
I know this was not something that I had shared with you,
Yeah.
but would be an interesting one for people to hear your perspectives on. So, the first question that I have for you is one word that defines your approach to leadership.
Role modeling. Be
Brilliant.
be the person that people can follow, and it's tough.
Hmm. Indeed, indeed. Very hard. Completely agree with you. A book that has had a significant impact on your life.
Atomic Habits.
I guessed it
Yeah.
so. For
Yeah,
some reason, I thought
that's
it
why
would be
I
that.
got the inspiration from it for my own book. So as a thing, of course, there are other spiritual books as well, but I think from a practical element, Atomic Habits is great.
Wonderful. The first thing that you do when you start your day.
I start with an intention. I start with a what I call as a little bit of grounding, where you just connect with the earth, and I start with an intention that today has to be a day where I'm productive and I'm able to achieve something that is significant and that is of value. And then, of course, I go and drink water. So that's the spiritual and the practical aspect of it.
Lovely. A city that you love living in.
I love the small cities actually. So Coimbatore, Mangalore, and of course I'm in
Hmm.
Hyderabad. Hyderabad, it's got a laid back culture, so I like Hyderabad also. Yeah,
Yeah. As they
between
say, happy
smaller
Hyderabad.
cities, yeah, smaller cities which offer the flavor of a larger city, but still have that, close knit element. I think that's what appeals to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think community living is something that I think is becoming a need of the hour. So I hear what you're saying, because smaller towns and cities are still about those community livings than how the larger cities have been. One habit you believe everyone should cultivate.
Sleep properly. Sleep for 7.5 hours. See, I've had a sleep problem, so I know the value of sleep. And there's because of sleep, I started having memory issues. Then I went and did
Oh,
some self diagnosis, and then found out that I had sleep apnea. So I still struggle with sleep, and I know how much it affects. People who are blessed to have a good 7.5 hours sleep, don't waste it in kind of thing. It is not a small process, very very
yeah.
complicated. It has elements of healing, it has elements of spirituality, it has elements of rejuvenation, muscle work, and different stages, memory, emotional handling. There are so many things which happen in sleep. I just teach about sleep for about 2 hours. That's how much of detail that is there, right? So people don't understand this, and sometimes it gets too late. We must prioritize it. 7 to 7.5 hours, absolute important need for everybody to kind of do.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee, I gave up for a bit and then came back during COVID, because coffee is much more stronger, so I don't have it in the afternoon. Morning, one coffee uh, is still thing, but given a choice, I would want to shift to green tea, but it doesn't have the same emotional appeal. So, yeah.
Wonderful. With that, thank you very much, Sriram, for joining us today. The insights on happiness, leadership, creating human-centric workplaces have been truly inspiring. So I hope people take a lot of insights from that, and as they listen in or read the newsletter tomorrow or day after, I think rather. Uh, but before we close, is there any final piece of advice or thoughts you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah. See, I think one is that everybody should operate, both individuals and companies. You should operate with a set of virtues.
Mm,
Okay. All our religions over thousands of years, be it the Bhagavad Gita, be it the life of Ram, be it Quran, be it Bible, have always prescribed that you live a virtuous life, and they've given you a
mm,
guidebook. I find that that is a guidebook that is missing in corporates, because you have a handbook which is all about legal compliances and rules and all of that, and then you have some values which nobody cares about, right? But truly, we need to
mm.
operate with some human-centered principles that will elevate our behaviors on a day-to-day basis. That is the fundamental reason that we are here. Become a better person, become more patient, less angry, be more forgiving, be more graceful, be kinder to people. That is why we exist over here. That is why we must do that in life and at work. And if we can do that, we will make the world a better place just by doing that. You don't have to do great contribution, just be a better human. And and this is what all things have told us over years. Somehow we've seemed to have forgotten that basic element as a thing. If we can just incorporate some of it, even one thing, just be more patient, be more, kind of forgiving. Those are just, things that can elevate the life for you and for people around you. And if you can do that, I think you'll be doing a great service to all the people around you and to the world.
Wonderfully said. And I really hope that the listeners who have tuned in and or probably catching up to this episode later find this valuable and are able to impact, bring in a little bit of change in the way they do things. I hope Sriram's remarkable journey and the conversation on cultivating happiness and well being in the workplace have given you new ideas for how you can bring more joy and purpose into your own career and organizational culture. As Sriram shared, happiness isn't just a destination, it's a habit, it's a mindset, and a way of approaching work and life. By focusing on creating happier environments, we can build workplaces where peak performance and well being go hand in hand, ultimately leading to more success and fulfillment for everybody. We are in a time where the workplaces are being reshaped. And as Sriram and many of our previous guests have shared and pointed out, thriving in this new world of work requires not just adapting, but actively fostering the conditions that allow people and organizations to flourish. I can't wait to bring in more inspiring stories and actionable insights in the future episodes. Until then, stay curious, stay positive, stay happy, and keep tuning in to Career Shifts podcast on LinkedIn, YouTube, YouTube Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. See you all soon. Keep shifting forward and upward. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Bye bye.